John Adams is already casting these massive compliments on two players that just played the mocks.
What the? What was he thinking?
Release the hounds.
The Dave Hooker Show.
Keep cool.
A presentation of offthehooksports.com.
John says Nico and Dylan Sampson could be the Vols' best backfield duo since Manning and Lewis. Jamal Lewis and Peyton Manning. John, you got one dude that's one of the best quarterbacks of all time and a Hall of Famer. You got another dude that is one of a handful that have rushed for over 2,000 yards and did it before the NFL expanded to 1,300 games a year. And so I would say that's a pretty strong claim.
I'm not saying they're better. I'm just saying they're Tennessee's best since then. Tennessee's had some other good quarterback running back tandems. Go back to Joshua Dobbs and Alvin Kamara, Jalen Hurd, all those guys. It would have been nice if Butch Jones would have seen fit to play Kamara a little more, but I think he saw him as kind of a project, and he was trying to work him in to the offense.
Well, the problem was they paid the other running back so much that he could have gone to the NCAA.
What those guys didn't surprise me at all. I know it was Chattanooga, but you look at Nico, and we've been talking about this for a year. I mean, I saw the SEC is loaded with outstanding quarterbacks. There are college really good quarterbacks all over the country right now. But if I'm an NFL owner and I say, okay, I can draft one right now, I'm taking Nico. That's who I'm taking over all these guys. And there are a lot of really talented quarterbacks out there. A few of them in that USC, LSU game. Nussmeier, Miller Moss can both really fling it. Carson Beck at Georgia, of course, is a great quarterback. But that's how good Nico is. You just don't think about the competition. Just trust your eyes. From what people who watch a lot of football, you can just see it. The passes he threw, you don't see those that often in college ball. Some guys in the NFL, a lot of guys in the NFL can't make passes like he can. So, and then Dylan Sampson, I think Dylan Sampson, because he was behind Jabari Small and Jalen Wright for 2 years, people look at him as, yeah, he's pretty good back, got good speed, but he hasn't passed those guys up. So how good is he really? I mean, everybody starting to wondering why Nico didn't play a little sooner last year. Kind of wonder if Dylan Sampson would have played more. He's a complete back. He catches a ball. I didn't notice him missing any blocks. I know that's something that was focused on in the Iowa game. But in terms of a runner, he's underrated because he breaks tackles. He can break tackles. He did that against a good defense in Iowa. He did it one season against Kentucky. He can break tackles, and he's got speed, and he can really catch the ball. This is a terrific 1-2 punch Tennessee has back there.
I agree. And I want to expand on Samson, but first I want to ask you just kind of your impressions on Nico. What's the best Tennessee football backfield duo ever? We have as a poll question on our YouTube page, is it Peyton Manning, Jamal Lewis, Heath Shuler, Charlie Garner, Josh Dobbs, Alvin Kamara? And right now, Peyton and Jamal, needless to say, are leading. Then there's an other, because as good as Tennessee's running backs were with Andy Kelly, I don't think Andy Kelly was elite, but you could probably throw that one in there and just pick a back.
So, John, obviously the narrative, because we're talking about Nico and Dylan Sampson being the best backfield. Now, I know you said since Jamal Lewis, Peyton Manning, I assume you're not going to put them above Jamal Lewis and Peyton Manning, but I wanted to hit a couple of others real quick. Could you compare them to the ones I have in the poll question, which is Josh Dobbs and Alvin Kamara, but also Heath Shuler and Charlie Garner? I mean, Charlie Garner was a Pro Bowl NFL running back, and Heath Shuler was a Heisman runner-up. Can they be better than those?
Oh yeah, I think I would say Charlie Garner right now. I would give him the edge over Dylan Sampson because I haven't seen nearly as much of Dylan Sampson. Charlie Garner also was rotating in a deep backfield, and sometimes you forget how good he was. I mean, he could go 70 yards. Very shifty, really good player. Heath Schuler, terrific player, great arm, and he was a really good running back. I would have liked to have seen Heath Schuler in this system. But see, to me, what really enhances these guys is they are made for this system. And I think Heath Schuler, you put him back there. Remember, Heath Schuler was not as big, but he was a little bit Tim Tebow-like, and he could run over linebackers. And he had some speed, tremendous athlete, and he had that super strong arm. So yeah, he would have been great in this system, but we don't know. We didn't get to see him in this system. I'm not knocking those guys because they were both really good. And there were other tandems. I mean, Joshua Dobbs went about it a different way, but what a great running back. I mean, you could say if you're talking about having the best running backs on the field at the same time, was Tennessee ever better when it had Joshua Dobbs, Jalen Hurd, and Alvin Kamara? I mean, you had T. Martin, Travis Henry, Jamal before he got hurt, but Joshua Dobbs is a better runner than T. And that, with Kamara, again, I would have liked to see more of Kamara. I think everybody would. I don't think Butch knew what he had with him. And Jalen Hurd was really good too. He rushed for over 1,200 yards. Don't get me wrong, but Alvin Kamara was like, well, he showed it in the NFL.
Guys, I'll tell you, the comparison that can be made between Peyton Manning and Nico has nothing to do with their athleticism, because Peyton ran around like he had his shoes tied together. We all know that. But the comparison that can't be made, and I could argue this right now, is Nico and Peyton are the two most accurate quarterbacks in the past 30 years. And I would stand by that off the very limited amount I've seen of Nico, because I believe firmly that accuracy is the most important aspect in football, playing quarterback, that you can have. John, am I out on a limb to say in the past 30 years, Peyton and Nico are the most accurate quarterbacks?
You're talking about Tennessee, right?
Yes, Tennessee,
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, there's no doubt about it. I mean, it's not just passing it to a receiver and hitting your receiver. It's hitting the receiver right where he needs to get the ball. Mm-hmm. Those guys, you go back to Peyton. Peyton Manning probably had a stronger arm than people gave him. Nobody said he had a weak arm. He had a good arm, but you didn't compare him to the John Elways of the world, Jeff Georges, Aaron Rodgers, those kind of guys. But when you look at Nico, those guys, both of them, they just threw a very catchable ball. They knew when to change speeds. And again, we've only seen a little bit of Nico, but you got to trust your eyes. I mean, just because you've only seen a little, he's doing things that other Tennessee quarterbacks just couldn't do. So
I agree.
So never mind the competition. Just look at what he did. And you're right, that accuracy, and that's magnified in the NFL. That's why I say if I could take any quarterback right now out of college, if I were an NFL owner, I'd say I want Nico, because of the accuracy and size. But the accuracy in the NFL, you're throwing into a much tighter window.
Now let's touch on Samson. Caleb has brought up pass protection woes. Surely to goodness, those are taken care of. Here's what I like about Samson is I think he can be a Marshall Faulk type of player. And no, I'm not saying he's Marshall Faulk. I think he can bring that versatility that Jabari Small and Jalen Wright couldn't. Jabari Small was always a little bit small and a step slow. Jalen Wright is a pound it between the tackles type of guy, which is what they want. But Dylan Sampson, I believe, can be better in the flats and out in running pass routes than either of those guys. And I think he can be pretty scary.
Yeah, and one of the things I notice about Samson, he kind of makes it look easy. And that may detract from his ability in some ways, because it doesn't look like he's maybe as fast as he is. That was just something I noticed in the Chattanooga game. He didn't look like he was running that hard, but he's outrunning guys. He's leaving. That was just my take in one game on him, but I do. I like that Marshall Faulk. I watch Marshall Faulk play a lot. What a great college running back, a guy, the complete back. That's what you want in a back, particularly in this kind of offense. A guy that can make those quick cuts, very, very quick cuts at the line of scrimmage, and then have the speed to outrun the secondary. And I think Dylan Sampson can do that.
You never get misquoted in broadcasting at all. So Travis likes to throw that out. Samson is the next Marshall Faulk. Dave Hooker. I didn't say that.